If you've ever been dumbfounded by stupid gun laws, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Guys, like and comment. I wanted to take a quick moment to do a segue and talk a little bit about a law that's affecting my home state, which is Washington Initiative 1639. Now, I'll know I don't really get political, but as gun laws get more and more stringent, I find it harder to stay apolitical in videos where I talk about firearms. I would highly encourage you to go and check out some of the resources that I link below and ways that you can help out with Initiative 1639 and ways that we can fight back using all available corners of the law so we can try to get this thing overturned, because it's ridiculous the way that they are imposing laws on law-abiding citizens for semi-automatic firearms. It's insane. So please join me in helping that fight. Hopefully with education, with videos like these, and then a little bit of kickback to try to get, try to get these laws overturned. We can start making things go in a direction that's more, in my mind, sane. But please give that a look, guys. Thank you for watching. I do want to point out before we get any further that my comment section is literally a plague that has now infected Brandon Herrera's comment section as well. Love you guys. Thank you for commenting. If you guys are wondering how to help out, well, first off, the biggest supporter of the channel is Big Daddy Unlimited. Big Daddy Unlimited is like the Costco of the gun world. A bunch of my fans have been letting me know that they've been able to buy parts for firearms and they've saved like tons of money. So, $300-400 on parts. So really it does save you quite a bit. Again, it's a subscription service, kind of like a Costco, but for the gun world. If you guys are looking for ammunition, LAX ammo, and of course for sick bags and plaid, Vertex. Ladies, gentlemen, amphibious assault vehicles, and of course, my all-time favorite, defunct F-35s. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting rifle, and that is going to be the Fix from Q. This is provided to us by Shooting Surplus. I want to give them a quick shout out and thank them for giving me the opportunity to get hands-on with this particular rifle and different rifles as they kind of provide them. Super cool of them. Anyhow, what is my relationship with Q? Well, they have sent me a Honey Badger, of which I am actually a very big fan. That review will be coming eventually. I love their suppressors. I talk with the guys over at that company quite a bit, with Adam over there and a couple others. So they are good dudes. No money or anything like that. It's exchange. I just know that I talk. I'm on speaking terms with them. We haven't broken up yet. So that is kind of where I'm at with them, just as for how all that goes. So the Fix. What is the Fix? Well, the Fix comes in a couple different configurations, but it is a lightweight bolt action rifle in either 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor. Now there are a couple other calibers coming out. They are working on a couple of their own proprietary things, but it is a very interesting, very cool bolt action. So let's go ahead and let's take the time to kind of talk about it. First off, what kind of sets it apart in the beginning is the fact that it is not a Remington 700 in some type of stock configuration or anything like that. It is its own standalone kind of little deal here. So I think that is something that's very interesting about it. So let's go ahead and let's go down from the top of the rifle all the way to the bottom of the rifle, and let's talk about a couple of the features that make the Fix kind of an interesting thing. Now, at the very end here, bad on me, I know, but I did switch out the muzzle device. So the original muzzle device on the Fix is something called the Cherry Bomb. A very cool name. But Q is very hip and very cool, by the way. So anyhow, the Cherry Bomb is a muzzle brake, blast deflector, whatever you want to call it, and I have problems with it. I like most of the rifle, but it just so happens we started with one of the things I didn't like the most, which is the Cherry Bomb. The Cherry Bomb is very loud. It does not, in my mind, mitigate recoil at all. I'm sure it mitigates it some. And it doesn't have very good flash suppression. I know it wasn't designed for those things, but those are things I typically look for in a muzzle device. And so it just doesn't do that. What it is good for is it is an excellent, dare I say, superior suppressor host. With reverse taper threads, with the way it keeps the carbon off the threads, It is a very innovative design. I love Q suppressors and how they mount up with their muzzle devices. However, that being said, without a Q suppressor on that muzzle device, it is a muzzle device that I am not fond of at all. I found the fix from Q to be a very unpleasant rifle to fire with a 16-inch configuration with the cherry bomb on it. Now, this particular rifle, in case I haven't said it yet, is a 16-inch barrel in .308. So it was not fun. So I did switch it out for a muzzle device from Sons of Liberty Gunworks so I could mount a dead air suppressor, and I did run a dead air suppressor on that. Now I do want to point out that I've shot several configurations of the fix. I've fired the 6.5 and I also have fired, of course, the .308. The 6.5 has a much longer barrel, and in my mind, that barrel and that configuration is vastly superior to the shortened version. Now, that being said, the 16 with the suppressor is a very, very handy package, especially if you're going to be out hiking or things like that, or God knows what hood rat shit you guys get into. But it is very nice for that. It's just, if you're going to be shooting all day, something that I happen to do with a rifle when I'm doing a review on it, it was not the best. So anyhow, when it comes to the muzzle device, I'm going to be the first to say I do not like the muzzle device. If you're going to have a suppressor on it right off the bat, awesome. You'll be very pleased with the fix. Otherwise, it's going to be not so fun. Moving from the muzzle device, we have the barrel. So there are a couple high-end barrels that Q offers. Anything from longer barrels to shorter barrels. It is actually very, very simple to remove the barrel from this receiver and to put your own in there, whatever it might be. People can do it in about 7 minutes. You can do it tabletop, doesn't require anything crazy. It's very simple. So I think that's a cool thing about the fix, is that it's a very modular system. It's very easy to swap out components. So if I have this and I want to add a longer barrel, easy to do. But in any case, the factory barrel that it comes with is fine, in my opinion. I know a lot of people have said that the .308 barrels from Q have some issues, whether they be accuracy or whatnot. I haven't seen that myself. I have found that these barrels tend to like lighter loads. Something like a 147 or something around there. I did do 168 grain pills through this particular barrel with no accuracy problems. I'm not the best shot with this particular rifle. I mostly attributed that to the muzzle device, but nonetheless, it is easy to stretch a rifle like this out to 500, 700, 800 yards. It's all about you. It's not about the rifle so much. But that being said, this is a very accurate platform. So no problems there. And if you want to get a better barrel, they're out there and you can really push the accuracy on this platform. Okay, from the barrel, we have the handguard. Again, the handguard is easy to change out if you need to, and there is another option from it. So the handguard, as it comes right here, it might look like M-LOK, but it's not. It's something called Q-Cert. I was kind of frustrated when I first got the rifle, and I was like, oh, God, another proprietary mounting system. But I understand why they did it. M-LOK, as it currently stands, I don't think it's a great platform for mounting bipods. I think M-LOK is a little flimsy when it comes to that, easy to bend. So in my mind, on a rifle that's probably going to have a bipod mounted to it, the Q-Cert is a superior platform for that. So I'm totally fine with that. The only thing about it is you're going to have to buy a Picatinny adapter or some type of adapter that's specific to the Q-Cert. Not that big of a deal, especially if you're somebody who's rich enough to drop like $3,000 on a rifle like this. Just let it be known. I know you crayon eaters out there probably get a little bit frustrated at small things. You know it's kind of hard to think about, but anyhow, this is Q-Cert, so it is very strong, but again, proprietary, so something to think about. And if it's a problem, you can easily swap it out for about 180 bucks or I think it's 200 for a M-LOK handguard if you really want to have one of those on, if that's what you want. Okay, so we've talked about the muzzle device, the barrel, the handguard. Now we're getting back into the receiver. So the receiver is very cool. So what they have done is it's a one-piece system that reduces a lot of weight, helps accuratize the system. Very cool. It's also very rigid, again, helps with accuracy. So again, I am very happy with what they have done there. No complaints. The one thing that I have always kind of admired when it comes to the Qs is how precisely machined every component is. There seems to be a lot of work that goes into the fit and the finish, and I am a big fan of companies that take the time to really make sure that everything looks good coming off the production line. And And certainly Q fits that mold. So that's something that I'm very appreciative of. Working something like the bolt, you can see just how precisely it lines up, how clean the lines are. It just looks good. And again, as we know, looking good matters. So I've been very pleased with how the system kind of all comes together. And besides that, besides how nicely everything goes, they did a lot of really good features on it, such as the magazines. The magazines use SR25 magazines, thank God, right? So right here I have, standard metal SR25 mags. They work pretty good. Now there are a couple caveats here. The people have had problems with some of the Magpul mags, not the 10 rounders, but like the 25 or the 20 rounders. So I've seen some arguments online where people say, well, do you really need a 25 round mag on a bolt action gun? Yes. Yes, I do. So if you're having some trouble with it, I saw a really good post on a couple different forums, mostly. Now, if you're having some trouble with magazines on this where they're not feeding quite correctly, and it seems to be mostly related to people running 6.5 Creedmoor, you can simply take a piece of Velcro, put it on the inside of the receiver right here of the mag well, and that will help kind of get the magazine shimmed perfectly. That's mostly for Magpul mags. Again, I haven't had any specific issues, but if you do, that seems to be a good correction to the problem, and it costs you about 30 cents, and that will fix it up. Most of my hangups that I've had running the fix from Q has been because I've run the bolt too slowly. So when you do it, you really have to make sure that you're doing it with some authority and not like a weak somebody who is small and skinny or something like that. I don't want to insult anybody. But so just make sure you're doing that. Now, when it comes to that, I also want to take a moment to talk a little bit about the bolt throw. So make sure this is clear here. Not that I care. Put a hole through the wall. Okay, so the bolt throw is a 45-degree bolt throw, and there's a turn handle. I find it fairly easy to use. A lot of people have had trouble saying it's very stiff on the upstroke. If you're having trouble with the upstroke, just make sure you're really going full on it. You can't kind of short stroke this thing. You really got to make sure you get fully into it. So again, it comes down to authority with this. You got to make sure you really pop it up. Otherwise, you're gonna get some hang-ups or something like that. So I found when I've taken the time to really put some force into it, it works perfectly. And I know people say, well, there are some really superior bolt action designs that don't require any force, and they're great, the SMLE and the K31 and stuff, and I get it, but for me, the bolt throw hasn't been a huge problem. And one thing I love about the bolt throw on the Q is it just looks good. Like it lines up perfectly when you're firing it. You're working it, like it just lines up very well. So that's something that I've been very appreciative of, again, is that attention to detail. Magazine release, pretty much like your standard AR-15 type magazine release, a little bit oversized, works perfectly for popping everything out. Very good there. I love the grip that they've chosen. So they've chosen to go with pretty much the proven AR-15 ergonomics that we know and love, and I think that was a really wise decision. Actuating the safety is simple. Another great thing they've done is that they've used the Radian Talon safety. And if you guys know me, you know that I'm a huge fan of Radian products. So I think it was really smart that they chose to use the Radian products on this particular product. All right, of course the grip, I love that neutral grip. It makes it very easy to walk with this thing, to move with it. I think they did a really good job there. You guys know what's next? Oh yeah, you do. It's trigger time. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna ghost this trigger, just like we always do. So you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna put your finger right on mine, and we're gonna do this together. So the Q trigger is a 2-stage trigger, about 2.5 pounds approximately, very clean break. So we have about 3 or so millimeters of travel right there. It's a little bit to put pressure into it, and once you put the pressure into it, it's a very crisp break, very crisp let off when it comes to that. So let's go and try that one more time. Okay, we have our take up right there, hit our wall. Very, very nice let off. The trigger is kind of wider, so it helps kind of displace a lot of that weight as well. It's a very nice let off. You can put a little bit of force into it, and, kind of get it primed up, but man, that feels good. Let's try that again. Feels great. Shooting this thing long range, I've had no trouble with the trigger. I've been very pleased with the trigger on the Q rifles, so great job on them there. Okay, moving back from that, we have our stock right here. So one thing I do like about the stock is it is easily foldable. So again, you just have this little mechanism right here. Just push it in, and that whole thing folds right over. And that makes for a very compact package. So that is one thing that I will say. The 308, well, I do find it to be a very uncomfortable firearm to shoot long term. Man, it does make a really good, small, compact weapon. So something very easy to pack into something like a mystery ranch bag, or put in your cart, just something that's very small and lightweight. So if you're going hunting, backcountry, this is a very lightweight rifle to take with you. And that is something that I can very much so appreciate. Now, here comes my last gripe when it comes to this particular firearm, is the stock. So I always watch reviews of whatever firearm I'm about to review to see what others have to say. See if I'm off base, see if somebody's like, XYZ, it's something I hadn't considered or something like that. And a lot of the reviews I've seen about the fix, they've said the stock is phenomenal and it's like the best design they've ever seen. And the only thing I can conclude from that is that these people probably haven't fired more than 20 or 30 rounds to this thing in a row, because I find the stock to be incredibly, incredibly uncomfortable. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just, a bit of something, but this stock is a problem for me. Now, here's what I will say. Precisely adjustable for length of pull, for where you want your cheeks so you can get the proper eye relief and all that. They did a phenomenal job there. Again, skeletonized, and it looks sexy. But when you are shooting this thing, you can see there, this thin little piece just digs into your cheek when you're firing. So if you're firing more than like 20 or 30 rounds, again, you start to feel it. And it just so happens in the course of reviewing, I happen to shoot quite a few. In fact, I've fired around about 400 rounds through this so far. And that's it's really beat me up in that time. So and it doesn't help either that this thing is super lightweight. So it's a combination of it being a super lightweight rifle along with this very thin cheek pad with a very thin stock that it drives all that right back into you. So I haven't been a fan of that. Now, I only attribute that to the 308 version, because I will say this, the 6.5 Creedmoor version is in my mind probably one of my favorite rifles to shoot. So if you have a chance to get a fix, I'd highly recommend it in 6.5. If you really need 308 because you got like stockpiles and stockpiles, do it. You'll be fine. Just understand that if you're shooting this thing like a ton in a day, it's gonna really beat you up. The 6.5 version is just phenomenal. I've been a huge fan of that. I think a little bit, the longer barrel along with the added weight really makes for a very precise system. Now, I've heard a lot about this gun, how does it kind of fall into versus, other really high-end guns and, tricked out Remington 700s? Well, everything has its place. This is a very lightweight rifle that is purpose-built. It's built for competition, for armed professionals, for whatever, but it will certainly do its job. You just have to understand the limitations and understand what you want or what you don't want. If you want the most comfortable, softest shooting, long-range precision rifle out there, this is not the rifle for you. Now, if you're looking to go backcountry hunting, you need something extremely lightweight that's accurate and all that kind of stuff, well, yeah, the Q is probably going to fit your what you need a little bit more. So again, it all comes down to what you need. So understand before going into any purchase, what do you need it for? Let that help dictate what you need. Don't go off coolness factor, because let's be honest here, the Q rifle looks very cool. I've been very impressed with the looks of this rifle, the feel, and all that kind of stuff. So kind of go off of that. As far as how it feels to shoot, if you've ever shot like a very lightweight hunting rifle, it feels a lot like that. There's not a whole lot to say there. There's not anything like a crazy recoil impulse I can talk about, because there's no recoil mechanism. Everything's going straight back in your shoulder. It feels a little bit more pronounced due to the fact that you have that very thin stock compared to other hunting rifles I've fired that are lightweight. So understand that. Now, besides all that, this is a fantastic rifle. Again, it just depends on what you need. So get out there, take a look at it. If it fits your bill, awesome, because it is a very cool rifle right there. Accuracy-wise, it depends on the loads. I'm still working up my precise reloads that I want to work on with the fix from Q, but from people who have, I've seen them easily doing sub-MOA. So I have no concerns about the accuracy of the cue. The decision to get the rifle or not get the rifle is all up to you. So get out there and get one. But here's the thing. None of this is going to matter unless you get training. Now, when it comes to long-range platforms, one of my favorite guys to go with is Leupold. You guys have seen it right here. I have a Leupold optic. This is a Mark V. Leupold offers some phenomenal training from some very good guys. If you're looking for some long-range training, I'd recommend you get in with Leupold and you take a look at what they have to offer. Besides them, there are some other great training companies like Bear Solutions, Haley Strategic, Travis Haley's company. You have Cogworks, lots of great guys out there. Tony Cowden, Esoteric, the Direct Action Resource Center. Check them out, get that training. Gentlemen, ladies, everything else that you identify as, thank you for watching. Stay looking cool, and I've got nothing else for you. Okay, last thing I have for you guys. Read about topics that make you uncomfortable. So one thing that we always suggest to people when they say, "Oh, I don't like guns. Guns make me uncomfortable." We're like, "Oh, well, learn about them. That way they don't scare you anymore." And then people learn about them. They're like, "Oh, guns are actually pretty cool." We're like, "Yeah, we know. We've been trying to tell you." You should take your own advice and read about things that you don't understand, or cultures or practices or things like that. The point is, the more learned, the more you understand different things, the more you can understand where people are coming from. The more you can identify with them, and the more versatile that makes you as both a conversationalist and as a person. Highly recommended to keep yourself as educated as possible, because knowledge is one of the greatest powers out there. Thank you for watching, gentlemen. You take care of yourselves. Love you guys.
Want to take the moment again to thank Shooting Surplus for helping out with getting me the Q rifle. Shooting Surplus kind of helps with getting some of those rarer, harder to find items. Thanks again, gentlemen.